Okay, what's up, team? So I have to head out to a meeting tonight, so I want to get this up first and foremost. This is a live feed. I didn't tell anyone I was doing it, so hopefully you can catch the recording. Square, the stock symbol SQ for block, just reported earnings, and although they were better in some regards than what were called for from the analyst community, overall things are not looking great, and it's down pretty bad after hours right now. Just want to hit on a couple of quick things, right? So we were looking at June quarter earnings and revenue that had fallen, but did in fact beat those estimates again. So I want to talk about just the highlights here. So their earnings were 18 cents per share on an adjusted basis, down 72% from the year earlier period. The projection was 16 cents a share. So in theory, it did come in better, even though those are terrible results. In addition, revenue dropped 6% to 4.4 billion. And we even saw, and this was really obviously not a great situation, cash app transactions for digital cryptocurrency fell as well. Now, again, the bright side to this bad news is analysts had predicted 4.33 billion. So even though it was down, it came in higher than predicted. So sometimes you're going to find the diamond in the rough. Now, additionally, this stock was down. I'm saying addition like it's not happening right now. Right now, the stock is down 5.8%, which is not great either. So here's some additional information too, and then I'll give you sort of a broad perspective here. Analysts also view operating profit as a major metric for Square and for Block in general. So this is something I really call out. Operating profit is extremely important for certain types of businesses, Square being one of them. That came in at 1.47 billion, up 29%. And the estimates, though, which were a little bit higher, was for 1.495. So I just want to say that again because they're really close numbers. Operating profit came in at 1.47, but the estimate was 1.495. So not incredibly far off, but still off, and not a good thing. Additionally, gross payment volume, often GPV they call it, from merchant customers rose 23% to 52.5 billion. But again, the estimate was for 53.187 billion, so not great. And Square, as we know, has been heavily pounded for the most part. Drew, you just threw me all off with that comment. Total blockheads, that's right. And what's up, D? So, look, long and short, I want to be clear here. I own a Square. I own actually a lot of Square, and I have been pounded in this price over the past, year and a half or so. My thesis on Square is that they are going to make a recovery. Their point of sale solution is extremely easy to use, really helpful for merchants, whether it's on your phone or on the counter of a restaurant or store or bakery or whatever, name your place. I think it's hugely convenient. Consumers like the product. It's easy to use. The Cash App is great, but these key issues they're facing have got to get under control. Margins, growth, etc., although not far off from estimates, are off of their estimates. We have to keep seeing revenue grow. The other big factor here as well is they're very much tied to how well their merchants do. If they're charging a fee to use their point of sale system and those point of sale systems aren't on fire getting swiped on all day, they're not making as much money. So they're really going to be more heavily affected by the economy and by small businesses than most other companies in this space will be. Additionally, what I want to call out too is one of the reasons why I particularly talk a lot about Square, I talk about SoFi, I talk about these kind of companies is it's my thesis, and this isn't a stock recommendation. This is literally just a thesis on the fintech space. More and more people from my age group on down to the younger generations are going to get away from traditional banking. I hate going to the bank. I hate how clunky the websites are. The apps aren't any good. It's too complex. There's too many fees. I think that this sort of shift to fintech, shift to apps, shift to POSs is going to be the place where we want to be. And I think that companies like a SoFi, like a Square, like others are really going to be the winners long term. It's just a question of getting in and around how to get better margins, how to stay tight when the economy flutters, how to make sure that they're generating throughout any kind of a situation. This is why traditional banks have such predictable earnings. And in general, other than commercial style banks, but your average retail bank out there is very predictable, very boring, pays a nice dividend. I think these fintech companies are still getting their footing. I think there's a huge amount of potential, but I think we're just not quite there yet. I've said this again earlier, and I'm going to say it again now. SoFi and Square are major holdings in my portfolio, like top 5 holdings in my entire portfolio. So I just want to call that out. And just from the comments too, D, I know you mentioned here that you bank with Ally and you've never walked into a bank. I'll tell you something. My primary banking is done through credit unions. I have no interest in walking into a major bank. I just saw a new Chase get put up down the street for me. They actually tore down a restaurant to put up a Chase bank, and I was thinking to myself, like, man, what is the demand for people to walk into a bank to do their banking, right? Like, if anything, it's an ATM or maybe a drive-through. If I want a mortgage, I'm doing it online. If I want a loan, I'm doing it online. If I want a credit card, I'm doing it online. I think about those things all the time. The best places, frankly, for me personally, irrespective of where you are in wealth or level of capital, like there's still good local places you can do your business, and it doesn't have to be major banks. So look, I actually have to hit the road and drive to a meeting tonight where I'm having dinner with some customers. So I can't be too long in the call today. I just want to get some information out there right now that if you see a sudden drop after hours, it is because of some pressure on Square. It is some pressure on certain margins and certain pieces of their pie. And of course, with Cash App and the Bitcoin relevancy there is going to be some pressure as well. Just want to call that out from a risk perspective that if you're looking at this, you're not sure what's happening, that's why. I'll make a final comment here because number one, I appreciate everyone jumping on too, by the way, without any notice. I really appreciate that, by the way. Drew says credit unions are legit. I obviously totally agree. And then D, you're only 22, man. That's amazing, man. Congratulations for being 22 and being so on the ball, learning about finance and how to build that future, dude. That's amazing. Any event, yep. I'm going to talk to everybody later. Tomorrow, I've got the Dad Bod Pod with Drew, who does whatever in the chat, and Cyberfam. So we'll look forward to that. Otherwise, everybody have a good night. Good hunting out there. Be careful with your investments and always hedge. Make sure you are protected on the downside. So thanks again, all. We'll see you later.